All right, welcome back, guys. We're going to do the quadratic formula again today. This time, we're going to pick some examples that you have to use the quadratic formula for. So what I mean by that is if you look at this first example, if you try to actually factor this, you could try and use slip and slide. You're not going to be able to. So this is a situation where you're going to have to use our quadratic formula. So luckily we've been practicing that the last 2 days. So hopefully we can do this pretty well, although you'll see there are going to be some slight little tricks that happen, in particular inside that square root towards the end. All right, so we're going to write out our quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And just a reminder from the last couple days, when we have a quadratic, we're talking about ax squared plus bx plus c. So hopefully you can clearly see here, a in this case is 2, b is negative 4, and c is negative 3. So we're going to go ahead and plug those values in. So we're going to have x equals negative b. Now b is negative 4, so negative 4 is going to make this a positive 4, the opposite of negative 4, plus or minus the square root. B is negative 4 squared minus 4. A is going to be 2 here. And C is going to be negative 3. And we're going to divide that by 2a, which is 2. All right, so again, just like the last couple days, I'm going to advise that you start to simplify this by taking care of what's inside this square root initially. Be careful when you're putting this in your calculator. Make sure that you put parentheses around that negative 4. If you don't, you're going to end up with a different answer that's going to lead you to an incorrect answer at the end. So we're going to do this correctly. We're going to have x equals 4 plus or minus the square root. Negative 4 squared is going to be 16. And then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times a negative 3 is positive 24. So we're going to have 16 plus 24, which is going to lead me at 40. And we're going to divide this here by 4. All right, so you're probably going to notice that the last few times we did this, we were able to figure out what was inside that square root. We'd have a perfect square, like square root of 16 or square root of 25, where we could just pull the answer right out. In this case, we don't. So that's why we did that unit a couple days ago, where we simplified the square root of things like 40. So off to the side here, I'm going to take a look at square root of 40, and we're going to sort of factor that. So that's 4 and 10, 2 and 2, 5 and 2. And so I've got a pair of 2's that can come out. 5 and 2 are going to be inside. So the square root of 40 is the same thing as 2 square root of 10. So what I'm going to be left with here is I'm going to have x equals 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 10 divided by 4. All right, so a little bit trickier. We've got to do our plus and we've got to do our minus. All right, so we're going to have one answer as x equals 4 plus 2 square root of 10 divided by 4. And one answer is x equals 4 minus 2 square root of 10 divided by 4. All right, now the way that I have them right now, you could generally leave them like that. That is called the exact value, okay? So this right here put this in a different color so it stands out. This form, this is what we call our exact value. Now, sometimes people will put this and this in their calculator and get a decimal answer, which you could certainly do. I believe you end up getting something like x equals negative 0.58 and 2.58. For our purposes, we're usually going to use just keep this as your exact value. But if you want to, you can put it in your calculator. Just when you do that, it's going to be a whole bunch of decimals, so it's not going to be exact. The one thing that we would probably do here is we would probably try and reduce this if we could. So you'll notice they're both being divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2 or 0.5. So I'd probably say this is 1 plus 0.5 radical 10. That radical 10 is just going to stay right there. And over here, I would do the same thing, dividing by 4, 1 minus 0.5 radical 10. Or you could put 1/2. So I would pretty much just leave my answers like that. But again, if you wanted to, you could put those in your calculator and get a decimal representation. All right, I know this is a little bit trickier, and we're definitely going to do some more problems where we have to do some things to the square root in the next couple days. All right.